and welcome to the Maris Peekaboo tutorial. This is a really fun variation of the Maris that has no upper bralette cup, so it's just bare skin up here. So it's a little bit sexier than the normal Maris. It looks hard to sew since there's nothing here, but there are only a few small changes to the sewing as well as cutting, which I'll be going over in this video. First, I want to go over sizing. So the Maris bralette was designed or drafted to be used with fabric that has stretch in it. If you purchase one of the DIY kits, it uses the non-stretch lace, and then the lining is the sheer cup lining, which has no stretch. So I would suggest going up a cup size, maybe even a band size. You might have to test it out. You could make a cup test using non-stretch fabric to just test out the cup. The back band is still using stretch fabric, so that won't change at all. But for the bralette cups, you might have to size up in the cup size. So if you normally wear a CD cup, you might have to wear like an EF cup. So you just want to test it out. So the first thing that you want to do is cutting, and it's really easy. So I'll show you what you don't have to change. The back band is just cut normal. So this is one layer. It's actually two layers of beige stretch mesh. We're not using most of the time. Madalynne's DIY kits come with main fabric and then a lining fabric. This beige stretch mesh is doubling as the main fabric and the lining fabric. So it's not just one layer, it's actually two layers. For the bralette cups, you are going to cut the, if you're using a DIY kit, it's with a scallop lace. You're going to place the pattern and then cut it along the low point of the lace. So if you don't know what that is, there is a high point of the lace and then a low point lace. It indicates the kind of edges of the lace. So you want to cut it along the low point of the lace, the scallop lace. And you'll do that for both the side bralette cup as well as the center front bralette cup. That's the wrong size right there. I was like, pattern piece looks a little small. So you cut it on the low point of the scallop. And then on the opposite side, excuse me, I should probably turn my phone on silent, but I didn't, forgot about that one. You want to cut the sheer cup lining again along the low point of the scallop. We are going to be sewing narrow elastic along this edge. Let me show you right here. So you don't want any of that sheer cup lining to be exposed past the lace. And that's the only change to cutting. Everything else, obviously you don't have an upper bralette cup, so you don't have to cut that out. Back band, I already showed you, is cut out exactly the same way. So this is the only change to cutting. Now let's go to sewing. Okay, so we went over the cutting, and now we're gonna go to the sewing. And you might be thinking, wait, you're not at the sewing machine. So this relates to the sewing in that you can see here that this is just fold over elastic. And you're probably thinking, well, how do you get that measurement? Like, how do you know how long this one's supposed to be and how long this one's supposed to be? So we're gonna use our pattern piece as a guide. So you want to make note on your pattern how long, and this line right here on your Maris pattern is your strap point. So you want to, or not strap point, this is where it is folded back with the rings on it. So you want to note or take note on how long this is. And this is about 8 3/8. And this edge is about 13 1/2. So 8 3/8 minus 1/4, because it's going to be sewn to this with a 1/4 seam allowance, is 8 1/8. And then 13 1/2 minus 1/4 is 13 1/4. So you want if it's easier for you, you can mark on your fold over elastic before you even get to your sewing machine. 8 1/4? No, 8 1/8. 8 3/8 minus 1/4 is 8 1/8. So this point right here is going to be the point at which it attaches to the lower bralette cups. So if I'm looking at this, this is the point where you're gonna attach it right here. So now let's go over to the sewing machine. Okay, so the first step in sewing is that you're going to assemble the lower bralette cups exactly as the instructions state. So I sewed these together with a straight stitch and I serged this edge. You can do it the way that the instructions state by clean finishing it, or you can just sew it with a straight stitch and serge it like I did. And now the first step is to attach narrow elastic along the upper bralette cups. Now, at this point in the instructions, this is where you would attach the lower bralette cups to the upper bralette cups, but since there is no upper bralette cup, we are going to finish the lower bralette cups with narrow elastic. So you're going to place the narrow elastic along the low point of the scalloped edge, and you're going to sew it with a straight stitch, or not a straight stitch, a zigzag stitch. And you might be asking, well, what zigzag stitch should I be using? Well, it will vary from machine to machine, so you're going to have to test it out. So let me start sewing here. You also want to put a little bit of tension on your narrow elastic when you're sewing it. This helps the lower bralette cups from gapping and standing away from your chest, so it really helps the upper bralette cup hug your chest or your breasts. Okay, so once the narrow elastic is attached to the upper edge of the bralette cups, this is where I'll clean this up later. That's for after the tutorial. So this is where you're going to attach the fold over elastic, and this is where that pin is going to come into play. So you are going to place that pin, I have right here, right at the edge of the bralette cup, and that is where it attaches to. For the fold over elastic attaches to the lower bralette cup. Now I usually sew fold over elastic with 2 passes, but for this variation, I'm going to pin it along the lower bralette edge. It's really short, so it won't be difficult. I'm going to pin it all the way to the armhole. And then from this point on, this is going to be my strap up here. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to encase your fold over elastic. First, I'm going to test this out to see how long it is. And then I'm going to cut it. The clear elastic gives it a little bit of stability because, again, this is holding a lot of the weight of the breast. So you want to use clear elastic. You can also use rubber elastic. That's a little bit thicker and it'll be more supportive for fuller cups or plus size. So in order to encase the clear elastic, we're just going to put the clear elastic inside. We're going to fold this over. And then we're going to sew it with a zigzag stitch. Now your zigzag stitch is definitely going to be wider than the zigzag stitch you used on the upper bralette cups. But again, it varies from machine to machine. So you're just going to have to test it out. And that's how you attach the fold over elastic. You will do it to the other side of the bralette cup the exact same way. Pin it at the edge of the center front edge. You will encase clear elastic along that edge up there. And then you proceed with the directions as normal. So then you would attach it to the back band and yada, yada, yada.